All right, so while I'm getting set up, I'll give you a quick sort of quick intro into what I'm going to talk about. I'm actually kind of pinch hitting for Anindo Ghosh right now. I'm going to talk about, so this is to Avi's point earlier, this is a very specific component. So this is one module in a course that I teach in a variety of different sort of environments. Sometimes, so this is a module on how to use the mobile ecosystem to create value. Okay, yeah, thank you. And I use this module in the core teaching when I used to do it. Our big challenge, Gordon mine, so I teach the exec MBA at Carlson, and then God teaches it full time. Has been we got too much good stuff, right? So we got to figure out like what to leave out. Actually, that's the biggest challenge. So right now, probably I don't think we're doing mobile in the MBA, but in the exec environment, I do this, and then a lot of other like exec ed kind of situations where this is really useful. If you're teaching digital marketing, for instance, this becomes really useful. So everybody knows mobile is hot, but what do you do with it, right? How do you think of this as a new channel, and how do you create value? So it's basically a one-class teaching plan, and it's based on the work that Anindo has done in his research, which is now converted into this fantastic book, which I think some of you probably got a copy of. So I'm going to frame this in kind of this McKinsey way of thinking of situation, complication, and key questions, right? So the situation basically is, in a class, I set it up by saying that this is a very powerful computer in people's pockets, right? And companies are underutilizing and underinvesting in this technology, right? So that's the situation. The complication, so why are they not doing this? In the rational world, people should be doing lots of things with it. There are some concerns, right? So for instance, privacy is a big concern. I'm sure if you go out, if you're a CIO trying to go out and get a budget for a mobile app that has all kinds of cool features of targeting people at the right time, at the right place, in the right location, there will be lawyers in the company that will say, no, that's going to be too dangerous, right? And so there's kind of this privacy pushback. There are probably other things also, but this is one of the main kind of forces against this, right? So that's the complication. So this then sets up these key questions. How can companies best leverage the power of the smartphone to create value for themselves and their customers? What's new and different about mobile as a channel? We used to have physical stores, and we had websites. Now we have the mobile phone. So that's the way I think about it. This is a new channel. It's got much, much more capabilities. It's got context, contextual information. So how do you sort of think about this? What's new and different? Privacy is obviously kind of the elephant in the room. Does this vary by geography? Can you do some things in China that you couldn't do in Europe or that you can do in the US? And then finally, talk about best practices and use cases. So this is basically what a typical class looks like. So the answers to these questions: how can companies best leverage the power of the smartphone to create value? One thing you can remind people is that we are never going to be in a world without ads, right? You think about the whole internet economy, the freemium business model, right, is kind of based on ads, right? So there are a lot of things that we consume right now which would go away actually if you don't have ads, right? And there's kind of this whole side research like Joel Wolfgang and others are looking at the impact of ad blockers, for instance, right, on other businesses, spillover effects of that, right? So we're never going to be in a world without ads. So that's put the people in that frame. Then they're more receptive to say, okay, what can we do, right? So Anindo's take on this is think butler, not stalker. So how can you actually create value? And the idea is if you're going to be in a world, if you're never going to be in a world without ads, then how do we give the right ads to the right people at the right time in the right location, right? And this is where the whole kind of, this is the angle of this particular module. So key is to win consumers' trust. And right now what's happening is because of poor analytics, because of massive fragmentation in this industry, because of consultants who don't know shit of what they're doing, right? You actually get a situation where people are serving too many ads, right? And it's creating annoyance, and that's the kind of the pushback. Okay. So this is where we can start using some of the hard science, the research that all of us have been doing. So then we can get into what's new and different about this channel. Actually, I have a follow-up slide on that. So we'll come back to that. What about privacy concerns? So one of the interesting things, this is actually to me the fun part of Anindo's book. He talks about these 4 contradictions that he's observed again over a variety of studies. So this is people seek to be spontaneous, but they're actually pretty predictable, right? So he has some work with Sangpil that basically tells you, I don't know if Sangpil's here, that they can predict where you're going to be 365 days from today, right? So they show that if you, and again, this is based on actual very micro level data of people's patterns of movement in Seoul, right? People find ads annoying, but actually they really fear being left out, right? So they want the good ad in some senses. People desire freedom and choice, but if you give them too many choices, they get overwhelmed, right? So these are kind of fun things to talk about, set up in the class. People want to protect their personal freedom, but will use their personal data as currency to get things they want, right? So you can, there are these kind of contradictions, and I think if you think about, if you kind of put the privacy push back that elephant in the room a little bit and say, okay, there are ways to do it, but you have to be, again, technologically savvy. You got to get into the data. You got to be, you got to use the analytics. You got to do a lot of experimentation. And again, it sets up all the other things that we do in these types of courses, right? That Gordon and Florian are talking about. So what are the best practices and use cases of using mobile as a channel? Lots of examples in the book and his slides that he's willing to share around. So we get into geo-targeting, right? If you're, let's say, Starbucks and you have a customer who is loyal to another brand walking past your store, right? Can you basically go and entice them to come to your store, right? So things like geo-targeting, geo-fencing, geo-conquesting. I'll show you one of the fun videos that actually people love. Trajectory-based targeting, and this is work that he's done with Bebe and I think somebody else, I'm forgetting who, where in a mall in China, yeah. So they basically are able to actually use Wi-Fi data, and I'll talk more about that later on. I have a project going on in that space in the afternoon when I talk about the Mall of America case. But the idea is, as people are in physical spaces, you can map their trajectories using either the mobile device or Wi-Fi data, and then you can kind of segment them, and then you can target them in different ways. So if people are going to shop A, you can send them to shop B, basically. Similar kind of idea, right? To geo-conquesting. And then mobile couponing. So these are the examples that are there in the book. I'll leave you with this fun one, the geo-conquesting one. I use this in the class a lot. People love it. So this is from Guatemala. I hope. Oops, hold on. I need.
No, it's not. He doesn't have a signal.
There's a promotion for feedback. I think so. Yeah, we got him.
Why don't
I don't know.
What are you watching on your YouTube, Ravi?
Can you use here?
Yeah, sure. If you just Google hijack Guatemala.
Yeah, I'm at the Nike store. There he is. He's getting the message. There's a promotion for feedback. I think so. Yeah, we got him.
Meatpack is the trendiest shoe store in Guatemala, a brand known for its edgy, cutting style and a store known for its unique discounts in limited edition kicks including brands like Adidas, Nike and Reebok. An icon for the sneakerhead subculture with over 60,000 fans on their fan page in less than a year. They needed to launch a new promotion to live up to their hardcore fans, an innovative way to earn your discount. We created Hijack, an enhancement for the official Meatpack app used by our customers. Using GPS tracking technology that marks every competitor's store of the brand sold at Meatpack. So every time one of our sneakerheads enters one of the stores, it triggers a special notice with a promotion. Hijack sends an alert to the person's mobile with a discount that starts at 99% and decreases by 1% every second that goes by, making the countdown stop until you reach our store. More than 600 customers were hijacked from the competitors in a week. One customer, Pedro Rodriguez, got a record-breaking 89% discount. This is the first promo campaign that started the sale in the competitor stores.
Yeah, so, yeah, this is good. And can I get back to this? Yeah. All right, so that's pretty much it. I mean, I think, so Anando has a whole deck. I think he basically said he's willing to share that with anybody, so you can just email him, or we'll figure out the other sharing methodology.
If you get it to us, we'll post it on the materials page.
Yeah, and the other thing that, if anybody has questions on this, any more details? Yeah, Avi.
Yeah, I bought the book when it came out. I already incorporated it in the co-teaching.
Yeah.
And I plan to start using iBeam in my class next time I offer the class, because I got so many good ideas and experimenting with now. And as you saw in the video, students find it absolutely amazing. You can buy iBeam for the $15 device, and it's shocking for the students how much you can do with it. So I urge everybody to try it. iBeam, yeah. It's what you have in the store. It's a low power Bluetooth
Yeah.
that you can have to get into people's devices with
hold on.
notification, etc. Study it, you will happy game. Highly recommend it. iBeam. It's the iPhone compatible device, but there are many others. They all kind of similar. Low power.
Yeah. Okay. So I have 5 minutes of time out here, which I thought I can use, and this is a conversation that Roy and Sanjeev and Rajiv and Avi we were having yesterday, is how to think about actually facilitating this collaboration in this group. Okay, so I'm going on the mobile kind of topic right now, but one idea, and I kind of floated this around, I floated a Slack team for core IT teaching about 3 or 4 months ago. So you can see some of the people on it right now. God is on it, Jui, Karim Lakhani, Pedro, Ram, Sinan, Soumya, Vibs, Samba. So this is kind of like, I thought let's create this Slack team. We can just use it to share whatever we like. It didn't get much traction actually. So again, I posted a few things. I think if you look at the general channel out here, so Slack, I mean, if you're not familiar with Slack, basically it's a communication platform used by most of the leading edge companies that are out there. If you look at Silicon Valley, this is the tool people use. It's organized into channels up there. And you can create a channel on anything. So this morning I created a channel on MBA core material. But general channel is for everything. Everybody has access to this. If you are a part of this team, there's a channel called random, so you can post cat pictures or dog videos or whatever else out there. And then you can do direct messaging with people, and you can also have private channels. So if you want to have a closed group, where people can't see what else is going on, you can kind of you can create a private channel as well in this. So the idea is that once you're in this, you can link to any kind of data source. Like if you have material on Dropbox or Google Drive or GitHub, you can just you can link to it. You can have threaded discussions. You can have all the cool stuff basically. So it's kind of like using Facebook. And so you saw it here. I created this actually it was in October 27th. And basically, not much action. I posted one thing about the Mall of America case out there. Pedro said, hi, it's official, I'm slacking. Other than that, nothing much happened. But this is something that we could use, I think. So I just wanted to throw this out there. And again, depending on where we go, we can have different channels for analytics, for different electives, for different cases. But it's a good way to kind of have a community around content. Okay? So I just want to talk about that. And any questions or ideas on this?
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.